Hello and welcome to my Premier League prediction show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you are doing wonderfully well. A great set of fixtures this week coming. We have Boxing Day fixtures and also a game on the 27th as well. What a wonderful time of the year. So much football on, and I hope you enjoy my predictions. If you do, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. But without further ado, let's go straight on to the fixtures. So the first game is at 12:30, and that game is between Fulham and Wolves. Two sides that came up last season. Fulham getting promoted at Wembley through the playoffs, beating Aston Villa, and Wolves winning the championship title, and they have done very well. Totally different what has happened to both sides. Fulham are bottom of the league, joint bottom with 10 points. They've already had a change of manager. Wolves, they are currently in the top half and are doing very well, not too far away from the clubs like Manchester United, Leicester and Bournemouth. So they're doing really well. Wolves, Fulham, it's not happened for them so far. In the last 5 games, Wolves have won 3 and lost 2. Defeats coming against Liverpool and Cardiff. However, they did have wins against Bournemouth, Newcastle, and also that surprise win against Chelsea. Fulham, they have only won none of their last 5 games, 2 draws and 3 defeats. This is going to be a really tough game for Fulham. They did get a good point at the weekend against Newcastle in a 0-0 draw. Personally, I think this one could be quite tough for Wolves, but I think they'll have just enough to beat this Fulham team. I'm going to go Fulham 1 and Wolves 2. The next game we have are at 3 o'clock. The first is Burnley versus Everton. Everton got absolutely hammered by Tottenham at the weekend, losing 6-2 at Goodison Park to Spurs. They are currently in 11th place with 24 points after 18 games, 6 wins, 6 draws and 6 defeats. Very average indeed. No wins in their last 5 games. Burnley, they've only won once of their last 5 games, but Everton are in really bad form. They're at home, Burnley. They played alright against Arsenal. They played alright against Spurs despite having 2 defeats in those games. So I'm going to go for a Burnley win here. I'm going to go 2-1 to Burnley, and a win could see them come out of the relegation zone and put maybe either Cardiff or Southampton into that relegation place. Next we have Crystal Palace and Cardiff. Crystal Palace are off on the back of an amazing 3-2 victory over Manchester City. Cardiff, they got absolutely hammered by Manchester United under their new interim manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. 5-1 that finish. Both sides are struggling down the bottom of the table, with Crystal Palace in 14th with 18 points. Cardiff, they are in 17th with 14 points. Crystal Palace, they've won their last 2. They've won 3 of their last 5. I can only see one win here, and that is going to be a Crystal Palace win. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Eagles, and I think they will have enough to comfortably beat Cardiff, and they could go level on points with Brighton if that result didn't go Brighton's way. Next we have Leicester versus Manchester City, and after that shock defeat from Crystal Palace against Manchester City, they need something to happen, and they need to get back to winning ways. They went to Leicester just last week and won on penalties after the game finished 1-1, with Kevin De Bruyne opening the scoring before Mark Albrighton's equaliser. Manchester City currently in 2nd place, 4 points behind leaders Liverpool. Leicester City are in 9th place, 25 points they are currently on in 9th. And Claude Puel's men had an amazing victory themselves, going to Chelsea and winning 1-0, Jamie Vardy scoring the only goal of the game. Personally, I think City will get back to winning ways, and I think they'll win about 2-0 and have enough to comfortably beat Leicester City. So I'm going to go Leicester City 0, Manchester City 2. Liverpool will be taking on their former manager in Rafael Benitez. Liverpool are currently top of the league, as just said, and are still unbeaten. The only team still unbeaten now in the Premier League. Liverpool, they have looked very good and have won their last 5 games in a row. Newcastle's form has been iffy. 2 draws, 2 defeats and 1 win in their last 5 games. You'd imagine Newcastle will go there and try and be very solid and try and keep a clean sheet, trying to battle for a point. Personally, I don't think there'll be many goals in this game. I think it'll only be by the odd goal. I'm going to go 1-0 to Liverpool, getting the win and passing the 50-point mark with 19 games played, and will remain top of the table whatever the result at Anfield. Manchester United take on Huddersfield, and this is only going to go one way. There's no way that Huddersfield go to Manchester United and get anything. Manchester United are looking at a completely different side since Solskjaer has took over. Lots of confidence, playing with freedom, playing in an amazing, attractive style as well, and they could go 5 points behind Arsenal with a victory. Personally, I think this one will be a 4-0 win to Manchester United, and they will get absolutely battered, Huddersfield, and could be bottom of the league if Fulham pick anything up in their game. I'm going to go 4-0. Next, we have Tottenham versus Bournemouth. But Tottenham are doing very well, currently in third place, 2 points off Manchester City and 6 points off Liverpool. Bournemouth are currently in 8th with their first win in 2 games. After 2 defeats, they won their 3rd game, and that was against Brighton. 2 lovely goals from David Brooks. I think this one will be tight. I don't think there'll be a lot between it, but I think Tottenham will have just enough to beat this Bournemouth side. I'm going 2-0 to Tottenham, and that would be 5 wins in a row for Tottenham in the Premier League. Brighton and Arsenal kick off at 5:15. This game is the evening game, the tea time game, if you will, and Arsenal could go ahead of Chelsea, who play later in the day. So Brighton are currently in 13th and had a cushion, but have lost their last 3 games in a row, and now are starting to be dragged back into this relegation dogfight. So Arsenal with a win could go into 4th place, even if it was just temporarily getting past Chelsea. And you would imagine Arsenal will go there and win. I'm going to go 3-0 to Arsenal. I think they'll be comfortable against Brighton. Although Brighton have shocked several teams at the Amex Stadium, including Manchester United, twice this year. So anything could happen there. But I think Arsenal will have plenty to beat Brighton. The final game on Boxing Day is Watford versus Chelsea. Chelsea will be looking to get back to win ways after that defeat against Leicester. They also lost against Wolves in those last 5 games with 3 victories as well, beating the champions Manchester City. Watford are currently in 7th with 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats in their last 5 games, and won both of their games in a row, beating West Ham 2-0 and then beating Cardiff 3-2. I think this one will be really difficult for Chelsea. I don't think it will be anywhere near as easy as it looks on paper. I think this will be a really tough game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Watford get a point, but I think Chelsea will have just enough to get past them. I'm going 2-1 to Chelsea, and that means they would regain 4th place if Arsenal were to win. There is also a game on Thursday, Southampton taking on West Ham. Southampton have looked a totally different side under new manager Ralph Hasenhüttl, with 2 wins in his first 3 games, beating Arsenal and then going to Huddersfield and also winning 6 goals in his opening 2 games, his last 2 games, which is really good considering how much they were struggling to score. You know, they were one of the lowest scorers, and now they're comfortably, you know, doing very well, scoring goals, making chances, which is really good to see. West Ham, they lost after having 4 wins in a row, and a 5th would have been their joint record in the Premier League, but they lost 2-0 to Watford. I think this one is going to be really tough for West Ham because Hasenhüttl has got them going really well. There's no doubt about it, and I think Southampton will win again. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Southampton, which would see them go past Newcastle and potentially Crystal Palace if the result was to go their way, which would be a really big step in the right direction for Southampton. So that is the end of the predictions. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.